If this impeachment had worked, we'd see every president who was elected with a different party controlling the House impeached. Joe Lockhart accused me of being Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini.
Goodness. Alan, it's great to have you here, and I want to get right to it. Is this really over, this whole impeachment nonsense, or will they do it again?
They may try to do it again. There's no double jeopardy clause regarding impeachment. Look, they tried to impeach the president even before he took the oath of office. And this has been a campaign from day one. And they think they didn't lose. They got one senator, my former student Mitt Romney, to vote guilty on one of the charges. And they regard that as a great victory. So they're going to push on. Look, I'm a liberal Democrat, and it hurts me to see the Democratic leadership abusing the Constitution and hurting their party. President Trump's numbers have gone up. The Republican Party's numbers have gone up. They are shooting the Democratic Party in the foot, and I think it's a tragedy for America.
You've made it very clear, and I've known you a long time. You're a liberal. You're a Democrat. You voted for Hillary. You didn't vote for Donald Trump. Why did you sign up to be part of the legal team?
For the same reason I would have signed up if Hillary Clinton had been elected president and the Republicans try to impeach her on vague, open-ended charges like abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. That violates the Constitution. I care more about the Constitution than I care about party or even person. I would have made the same exact argument for Hillary Clinton. In fact, when I wrote my book, The Case Against Impeaching Trump, the original title was The Case Against Impeaching Hillary Clinton, because I thought she'd get elected, and I thought the Republicans would try to impeach her. So I'm simply making a constitutional argument. This time, it benefits President Trump. Last time I made this constitutional argument, it benefited Bill Clinton, your predecessor. So I just don't think about party or partisanship when I argue about the Constitution. I'm there to defend the Constitution. I love the Constitution. I love my country. The Constitution is the most enduring document. The framers would be turning over in their grave if they saw how this impeachment criteria is being abused for partisan purposes. They intended impeachment to be used only when both parties get together and agree that there's a president who's engaged in such egregious criminal conduct that he cannot continue to serve. If this impeachment had worked, we'd see every president who was elected with a different party controlling the House impeached. It would make impeachment as normal as votes of non-confidence against prime ministers in European countries. That's the system we rejected. And that's why Madison said, no, maladministration can't be a criteria for impeachment. It has to be high crimes, misdemeanors, treason, or bribery. And those criteria weren't met here.
You made a very compelling speech on the floor of the Senate in defense of the president. The media mischaracterized it, and I thought incredibly unfairly, trying to say that you said Donald Trump could do anything he wanted to do. I heard you. You did not say that. Why did they misrepresent you? They surely are as capable of hearing what I heard.
Well, it was clearly a calculated plan. When I made my speech, I looked right at Senator Schumer. I looked right at Congressman Nadler and Congressman Schiff. They understood it, and they didn't come over afterward and say, oh, my God, you said the president could be a king. They made a calculated decision to misrepresent my view. What I said, and it was so clear, if a president does anything illegal, he can be impeached. But if he does something that's completely legal, completely within his authority, but he's motivated in part by a desire to get reelected, that alone can't turn innocent conduct into guilty conduct. That's a self-evident proposition. And they turn that statement into, oh, a president can shoot his political opponent, can rig the vote, can destroy, do anything illegal as long as he wants to be president. They knew that was a lie. The New York Times corrected them. The Wall Street Journal corrected them. But they persist in lying about my statement because they saw that in my speech, I did have something of an impact on some of the senators. They came up to me, including some Democrats, and including the lawyer for the manager, saying that that was a good speech that influenced people. So then they decided to go out and try to hurt my credibility by making up a story about me. And CNN pushed it harder than anybody. CNN every night has people checking for the truth of what the president said. It's about time CNN had somebody assigned to check on the truth of what their own commentators say, because their commentators pushed a line. One of them, Joe Lockhart, who I know you know.
I know Joe.
Joe Lockhart accused me of being Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini because I said that a president couldn't be impeached because if he did something to help his own election, if he did it in the national interest, and it was entirely lawful. Shame on Joe Lockhart.
You mentioned some of the senators coming up to you afterwards who totally got it. One who apparently didn't get it was your former student, Mitt Romney. Were you surprised by Mitt Romney's vote?
He's one of the people who came up to me.
Well, you know, he even said that he couldn't vote for him for a guilty verdict unless there were more witnesses. There weren't more witnesses, and he voted for it anyway. I couldn't find the logic in that.
No, I agree with you. He's one of those who came up to me afterward and reminded me that I had given him an A+ in criminal law, and then said that I was wrong. He pointed out that I was wrong, because what if a president were to pardon only Republicans and not Democrats? Wouldn't that be an impeachable crime? And the answer is no, it wouldn't be. It would be a terrible thing. It would be something that would cause me to vote against him. But it wouldn't be. The pardon power is vested in the president, and many presidents have used friendship, maybe even political contributions, and partisanship in granting pardons. Wrong, but not impeachable. You know, the framers distinguished sharply between political sins on the one hand, which the voters get to decide about, and crimes, high crimes and misdemeanors on the other hand, which is impeachable. And you can't just conflate the two and say, if we don't like what the president did, if we disagree with his policies or his actions or even his character, that's enough to impeach. That's just not what the framers of the Constitution intended.
Professor, what you just said may be one of the most brilliant assessments I've heard, and that is to separate political sins, which most every politician, including me, I'm sure, has been guilty of, versus some legal crossover where there's a law that's broken. And I appreciate that. And that leads me to really the heart of your book, Guilt by Accusation. We're living in a time where people can just throw an accusation at someone and they're considered guilty. And some of the members of Congress actually said it was the president's responsibility to prove himself innocent. That was shocking for me to hear.
It's shocking. It's shocking. It applies in politics. It applies in the Me Too movement. I was accused by a woman I never met, never heard of. And I found emails by her proving that she never met me. She claimed she saw me once, never met me. And then her own lawyer admitted on tape that she couldn't have ever met me and she was wrong, simply wrong. And I got the former head of the FBI to do an investigation. He concluded it was wrong. And yet, because I'm accused, people have canceled speeches. People have said I can no longer be on television because I've been accused, even though I've been completely exculpated and vindicated in every possible way. But an accusation now equals guilt, which is why I had to write that book. And I've just written another book. It's not out yet. It'll be out next week, called Defending the Constitution, which has my speech on the Senate floor, the questions, the answers, and my response to the mischaracterization of what I said. I'm keeping busy, just keeping the record straight. These accusations fly all over the place for financial reasons, partisan reasons, and we have to fight back.
I'm glad you're fighting back. And I want our audience to know that when you're fighting back, you're not fighting back just for you. It's not just about Alan Dershowitz. You're fighting back for every single American who believes in due process, who believes in innocent until proven guilty. And if you lose, we all lose. And that's why I'm so grateful for your writings and your just unapologetic advocacy for the constitutional just process of our judicial system. Thank you, Alan Dershowitz, so very much.
Well, I
Delighted
appreciate
to have you.
that.
Well, I hope you never need Alan Dershowitz, but you can find him on Twitter at Alan Dersh. Also, be sure and get your copy of Professor Dershowitz's latest book, Guilt by Accusation, one we've just been talking about. That is available wherever books are sold.